This is Shantae, aka Shantizi, on Twitter and Instagram, or just simply just Shantae Berry. So I am here with an after show. Friday is the after show of my analysis because I do the Instagram live on Fridays at 10:30. Well, I was a little late, so it was like 10:55. And every day around weeknights at between 11 and 11:30. So I am here with just some numbers for you for coronavirus. You can check those numbers out on the John Hopkins website. That's coronavirus.jhu.edu. So here we are. So around the world, we are at 42,114,524 cases of COVID-19 within 189 countries, excuse me. The U.S. confirmed cases here is 8,484,991, with the death toll sitting at 223,914. Hello. There's other countries that have it too, but I'm just focusing on the USA. I focus on the other countries on my Instagram live show on Friday. According to the New York Times COVID map, California has 901,836, followed by Texas at 898,114, Florida 771,772, New York 496,510, Illinois 370,115, Georgia 333,479, North Carolina 253,844. Arizona is 235,919. Tennessee is 237,607. And New Jersey rounds out that top 10 with 227,219. And yes, we have no national coordinated response. But according to the Washington Post, the United States had the record recording cases, a single day confirmed cases of coronavirus. We had 81,400 even. So that was our record recording high cases yet. And I can imagine it will get worse until Trump is out of office. Hopefully. Prayerfully. That he gets the fuck out of our White House. But there are 38 states, including my state, New York, are seeing rising COVID infections or overwhelming hospitalizations. I know out west, they're seeing overwhelming hospitalizations in the Midwest as well, such as North Dakota. They're seeing a record number of infection rates. It's really bad. Really bad. And it's exactly why a mask is always needed. And of course, the governor of South Dakota refuses to issue mask mandates. And keep in mind, her state had like a big a motorcycle COVID super spreading rally with no mask on. Yeah. And during the winter, it's going to be cold. And the virus is going to stay here. It's not going nowhere. So whatever Donald Trump says out of his mouth, unfortunately, is a lie. Don't take it at face value. Just don't. That's all I'm saying. But in the debate, ooh, child, let's just say that Donald Trump continues to lie. Joe Biden actually had a pretty good night. There was some things that he could have touched up on, such as, more on the crime bill, even though he regret his wrongs, but he should extend it more on race. And, he did invoke George Floyd and Breonna Taylor in the early debates at first, but he should have elaborated more on race. That was my only suggestion. And he could have hit him a lot harder with more on the foreign policy. But other than that, Joe Biden actually had a pretty decent night. He did what he needed to do. And to convince the American people, why me and no more Donald Trump? And remember, his campaign is not the anti-Trump, as people think it is. His campaign is revitalizing the soul of this nation, to restore it, because our nation is fucked up. It's been fucked up with quite some times, but it's really fucked up. We thought that it was over with President Obama? No. The Tea Party was cooking up their racism. And most of these Republican elected officials, most of them are Tea Party people. They're not your traditional conservatives. They're long gone. Long gone. Or dead. So now what you have left is the far right and the Tea Party extremists and the birthers. They're all there. All of them. So that's what you have in the White House. So that being said, Donald Trump is a no. A no for the next 4 years, because democracy will be ruined and this country will literally be on fire. And that's what's that. He said we're better off with, than we are 4 years, and that this virus is going away and we learn to live with it, which that's nothing comforting, telling the American people when one in every person knows somebody that either got sick from this virus or died from this virus. You talked about no stimulus. You talk about holding off the stimulus plan to after the election, which is ridiculous, because there's people that are homeless and that have no job. I don't have a job right now, even though I'm looking for one and I'm in school and I'm glad to keep paying my rent. But we don't know how long living off your savings, how that will take. But he seems not to care. That's what he proved yesterday. Donald Trump does not care. So for all these people that are undecided about this election, I don't know what fucking rock you're living on. I don't know where your head is, but for the last 4 years, I've been living in the fucking twilight zone. I'm living in crazy town, and I'm just a visitor here. And speaking of the undecided voter, so MSNBC national correspondent, I don't know what her title is anymore, Chris Jansen, pretty much interviewed these 3 undecided voters from Georgia. And they were African American, and it was upsetting to watch. I will play the audio, because the simple fact is, how the fuck you can be undecided when we have all of these 5 crises going on simultaneously, and talking about you're undecided? Like, what the fuck? Like, absolutely fucking insane. But I'm just going to play the audio because I'm just that angry about this whole entire thing. I'm so upset in 10,000 ways. I am too, Queen Lion. I am too.
Already, but I am totally undecided. I'd write your name in at this point.
Usually by now I would have voted already, but I'm just not comfortable with either one of them right now. What are you looking for? What do you need to hear?
Let's start at the crime bill and the fact that he has not only not apologized, he has not only not rectified. Every time he reverts back to, well, it was the Black Caucus members in the church, but they were with it too. Okay, you fooled them as well. You never said I'm sorry. It's like I didn't do it.
I want to hear an ironclad plan. I don't want to hear if this or if that or after the election.
Does the presence of Kamala Harris on the Democratic ticket sway you at all?
Not at all. I don't know who said she had our vote. She does not. We were supposed to grab onto Kamala with the black girl magic, but that didn't happen because she didn't right her wrongs. Like, I hold officials accountable. I don't care what color you are. And I think that too often we automatically think that because someone...
Okay. If those bitches were in my presence, I would have told them where to go and find it. And if they didn't like it, if one proceeded to come up in my face, because I know which one will look like will come up in my face, I will punch that bitch in her face. That's the hood that come out of me. But in a more classier form, girl, why would you even say that stuff? Like, right your wrongs? Kamala Harris is not trying to basically like, yeah, because I'm black, you're going to vote for me. That was never Kamala's MO. Kamala was the intersectional candidate out of all the 25 candidates that ran for president on the Democratic side. Way more than intersexual than Elizabeth Warren, to be quite frank. Elizabeth Warren, her issue was she only reached out to younger voters and more so younger white voters. She didn't have the Latinas, clearly. Kamala Harris and Bernie Sanders have more of the Latino vote than all the other candidates. Let's just be very clear. Elizabeth Warren started picking up black voters later when Kamala Harris dropped out of the race. And even still, Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden still held the black vote because Kamala Harris supporters more went to Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders after Kamala Harris dropped out. They did not go to the other candidates. They went to Elizabeth Warren, not even in plaques, not even in packs, excuse me. So when I hear this bullshit from these women, I don't know who they supported. I can care less. Saying, oh, Kamala Harris just wanted us to, because she was black and because she looked it. No. Absolutely not. And if there was still another guy besides Joe Biden, Kamala Harris still would have been the vice presidential candidate if things went different. If it was Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris still would have been his pick because he said it his damn self. Kamala Harris is trying to make inroads to where she can speak to you. Her policies did speak to everybody. And it was politically lazy. And most people said that Warren was fake. A lot of my fellow K-Hives say she was fake. And they said she was fake because her policies were basically a spinoff of Kamala's and Bernie's. And some of it was, except the wealth tax. Everything else was like a spinoff of people's plans, because it's true. But I guess these hoes did not go online and do their research. Because that's one thing about me. I have the audacity to talk my shit the way I talk. And I know a lot of Bernie people came after me. A lot of Elizabeth Warren people came after me. A lot of Tulsi people came at me. And Andrew Yang people came at me. Because I actually read people's shit. I do my motherfucking homework before I get settled in on a candidate. And Kamala's plans spoke to me as a black woman. Like I said, I don't know who they supported, but obviously they wasn't that engaged. I feel like these women don't even get themselves involved. They don't even know what the political process is. They don't know different policies. The crime bill. They look like they wasn't really raised in the hood. Maybe one was. I was raised in Harlem. I had a video about it. I was raised in Harlem, New York. I was born in 1986. I was a baby during the Reagan administration, and he did not do shit. There was so much shit that went on in his administration, from people losing their homes when he came out with the Reaganomics, the stock market crash, HIV and AIDS was on the rise. People were dying, getting sick and dying from AIDS. Drugs, crack came in our neighborhood. He did nothing. They had the Say No to Drugs campaign, but still it didn't do anything. It did not address the crime that happened in urban neighborhoods in America, especially black and brown communities. Yeah, it's best to do your own research. And shout out to Kenny, shout out to Reese, Black Women Views, for always keeping it real. And shout out to, yeah, it is the year of the tiger. And shout out to Drew Comments, Sydney A, and Maya Contreras, because they really are informative. And to all the other K-Hops. Can't mention by name, but you guys are very insightful people. And thank you. And I hope this relationship don't be a temporary one. But yeah, the time when I was born, shit was crazy. And even when I was a little kid, my mom sent me to school downtown because she did not want me to go to school in Harlem because of the activity that went on. So that's why certain people supported the crime bill. Do I think it was harsh? Absolutely. I'm not defending anybody's position on the crime bill, because that bill was harsh, and it actually was more harsher to black and brown people. It actually created longer sentences for black and brown people when it came to crime, when it came to drug charges. But then you also had states that had harsher law enforcement and prison incentives. During the 90s in New York, we did not have always Democratic mayors and Democratic governors. George Pataki was the Republican governor of New York for 12 years before Eliot Spitzer, and Rudy Giuliani was the Republican mayor for 8 years. And then the next 12 years behind him was Michael Bloomberg, who was a Republican and then went from an independent, but still carried out some of Giuliani's policies when it came to stop and frisk. So when people say Democrat run New York, it wasn't Democrat run for a very much long time when I was a kid growing up. And some of these policies were implemented from Republican mayors and Republican governors when it came to incarceration rates. And there was mass incarceration going on around Nixon time because Nixon ran a racist campaign. And of course, Joe Biden still doesn't get a pass. But the difference between Joe Biden and those men, Joe Biden is making inroads to where he had made some inroads in a way where during the Obama and Biden administration, they gave more clemency than Donald Trump claims that he did. Do your research. First Step Act was actually introduced, and he mentioned it was introduced during the Obama administration, and he said it was the Republican Congress. It's true. Addison Mitchell McConnell Jr. is the main problem. That's why he has to go. And I hope Kentucky sees it. Yes, we all wanted Charles Booker from Kentucky to represent the state, but he's still young. Rand Paul is running in 2 years. Will be up for re-election in 2 years. So Charles Booker can get that seat easy. Easy. He'll be a good senator for Kentucky. You can have a woman and a black man from Kentucky representing the state. They need new leadership because Rand Paul sucks. And we all know Mitch McConnell sucks. So there you have it. If you get rid of the big fish, then all the little fishes. The big fishes in the Senate is Addison Mitchell McConnell Jr. and Mr. Lindsey Graham. You get rid of those motherfuckers, it'd be all good. And Charles Booker will be a great candidate for 2022. An awesome candidate for 2022. Now, in terms of New York, Chuck Schumer may retire. He may retire. I don't know. Because people in New York actually like him. So he may retire. Who knows? But people talking about replace him as the Senate Majority Leader. You need someone that's level-headed. And Chuck Schumer, out of most of the senators on the Democratic side, he's actually one of the most level-headed ones. And that will actually walk in there. He's not going to retire. He probably will retire in 2022 because Chuck Schumer is 70 years old. I think he's not going to be like one of them crazy ones like Dianne Feinstein, who's almost 90 years old serving in the Senate, or Chuck Grassley. But at least I could say with Chuck Schumer, he's giving younger Democrats like him and Nancy Pelosi, they're giving younger Democrats more of a platform to talk. Like they're giving Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I really don't like calling her AOC. I like to call people by their name. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, because I can actually pronounce it. And so Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, they did a press conference in Brooklyn like a couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he let her speak because she is an influential voice for younger progressives, and that is a big accomplishment. And of course, some of these disgruntled progressives was like, listen, he's giving her a voice. Even Nancy Pelosi is trying to, mold more speakers of the House once she, decides to shamoosh. But the difference between Democrat leadership and Republican leadership, Democrat leadership is able to, shape and mold the next leader. And they see that there's more progressives in the leadership. Nancy Pelosi still might be the Speaker of the House next year, because if she can deal with Trump, imagine if they had someone else as Speaker of the House. That would look stink. I could see, if it was Maxine Waters, it would have been different. Her or Maxine Waters, because they know how Congress works and they're willing to work across the aisle. Not a lot of Democrats in the Democrat Party are not shaped and mold for that shit. They're not. And that's all I'm saying. And speaking of some of these stinking doodle progressives, let's just talk about Shank. He works my patience. This is the tweet. I think it was from 3 days ago. Bernie Sanders held 39 rallies for Hillary Clinton, and they said it wasn't enough. Barack Obama so far has held one rally. He capitalized the one for Joe Biden and not one peep from mainstream media. Why don't you guys just stop the pretense and just admit you work for corporate Democrats? Okay. To Shank. Nobody, sir, nobody is not working for corporate Democrats. Mainstream media is actually more catered to Donald Trump than to the Democratic Party, thanks to Donald Trump. And even thanks to people like you, Shane. Like, honestly, I unsubscribed to TYNT like almost 2 years ago because of that fucking dangerous, nasty-ass rhetoric that he continues to spew. He talks about black politicians like it's the thing to do. Like, you have the moral ground to do that. And you don't have that moral ground to do that. You have no right to do that. Like, you suck. You are a fat, nasty, disgusting slob with a show. Funded by Republicans. Let's be real. That's why you got so much smoke for Democrats. You, Anna, and all those rusty motherfuckers. That's exactly why people like Brooke Thomas left your show. And I'm pretty sure she left your show because of y'all nasty ass rhetoric towards black politicians. because she was the actual real reporter on that show, and y'all gave her less airtime. Y'all give bony ass Anna Casper more airtime, and all she spew is just nasty, hateful, toxic rhetoric. And the way y'all talk about Kamala Harris is disgustingly nasty. I hate it. There are other progressive platforms out there that do not disparage. Don't disparage Democrats. They may criticize them on policy, but don't disparage them, their character and who they are. And they continue to do that shit. And that shit irritates the fuck out of me. He is a disgrace. It really bothers me. It bothers me. And that's why I don't fucking watch TYT. And I encourage you to not watch it. I'm not telling you, but I encourage, because their facts are not real facts. Do your own research for your own self so you can determine. Because that's important. It's sad I got to tell you this in 2020, but it's real shit. Real shit. But as I end this, because I'm tired, please, please, in the name of love, do your homework. John Brooks, is that the guy that used to work in mainstream media? Just let me know in the comments. But for real, I encourage you, do your homework. Vote. Because we're facing 5 crises. And who knows what they're going to do with this Supreme Court vote next week, because they're going to try to ram this chick through. As of 51 million people have voted already, but they're going to ram this little bitch through. This unexperienced originalist judge. They're going to ram her ass through, and they're going to do everything they can to make sure that she they're just going to make sure that, oh, okay, thank you for telling me. They're going to make sure that, you know, they just ruin democracy for us. You can't have that. The world is changing. You know, everybody loves everybody. There's multicultural marriages, multicultural children. They're out here. The world is changing. It's becoming more progressive these days. And Joe Biden sees it. And believe it or not, Joe Biden was one of the first people to endorse marriage equality. And Kamala has been an advocate for the LGBTQIA community for a long time, before other politicians started being allies. You can look it up. But I just leave you with that. Literally leave you with that. Do your research. And be safe out here. And wear your mask. And wash your hands and social distance. But until then, have a nice night. If you don't follow me on Twitter, it's I am Shantizi on Twitter. And if you don't subscribe to my YouTube channel, it's just Shantae Berry. So until then, have a good night.